by the people, for the people.
Look at all these Indian faces. Jesus Christ. Look at you brown bastards. God damn. Indians just look upset that they had to spend money to be here tonight, don't you? That's the look on their face, just... This is bullshit. I don't know why I'm spending money to see someone that looks just like me.
Look at my Sikh friend.
I can stay home and look in the mirror. For free. We are an endless supply of cheap jokes. And you know what the best thing about it is? Indian people, we're proud of our cheapness. You're never going to insult us by calling us cheap. That's the best part, you know.
Listen to the
Walk up to
cheers.
an Indian, you guys are cheap. Thank you for noticing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That guy just called you cheap. No. He pronounced it cheap. But what he was saying was smart. Very smart, he was saying. We're cheap. Here's the thing, too. It's not like I'm up here going, you Indian people are cheap, and I'm the one that's not. No. No. I'm just as fucking cheap as you. The difference is now I have money. I'm just cheap in better stores. I'll be looking at like an Armani shirt. I hate when this happens. I'm looking at a shirt from like a high-end designer, and I flip the tag over, and I see made in India. I'm stuck with a real dilemma. I'm like, shit. Do I buy this? Or do I call my uncle? I wonder if he knows where this factory is. We are cheap. Everybody's cheap, aren't they? Never call white people cheap. White people get really upset when you call them cheap. You ever call the white person cheap? They get very angry. Because white people actually are probably the only people that aren't cheap. You ever call a white guy cheap? You're cheap. Fuck you, I'm cheap. I'll buy you a beer. You want a beer? That's how white guys get around being cheap. You want a beer? 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 Huh? You want a beer? Huh? Fuck you, I'm not cheap. I bought everybody beer. Everybody's cheap. It's all about levels, you know? Black people are cheap as shit. And I tell you why, because I know I grew up around enough black people to know exactly how cheap you are. I remember going to my best friend Marlon's house when I was a kid. I'd go there and be like, hey, Marlon, can I have some cereal? Yeah, go ahead, help yourself. Here's the thing, Marlon and I have been friends for 31 years. Best friends for 31 years, and I didn't realize he had a lisp until I did an impression of him. Like, Stacko, can I get some cereal? Yeah, go ahead, help yourself. I was like, son of a bitch, he has a lisp. So I go pour some cereal, I go to get the milk. I'm like, yo, you only got this much milk left. Oh, shit. All right, give me the jug, I'll make some more. What do you mean you'll make some more? He takes the jug of milk, shoves it under the sink, and starts filling it with water. I'm like, yo, this barely looks like milk. It's skim milk.
Okay, what you said is very, very true about white people. I don't know about the Indian aspect, but for white people, if you call somebody cheap, it's an insult, and they want to then prove that they're not cheap. I'm going to tell you a story time, kids. So, when I first started dating the Warrior Queen, and maybe we were just engaged, right? She had a ring on her finger. She took me to her grandma and grandpa's house to meet her grandma and grandpa and her Uncle Kenny. And this would be her mom's parents. Okay, these are her mom's parents. So we go there, and the very first thing her grandpa says to me is, have you met Tish's dad? And I said, yes. And he says, he's a cheap son of a bee. He is a cheap... Look at this. I want to show you something. And he had, in a frame on his wall, was a receipt from the only meal that her dad bought for him, and it was just a hamburger and fries, and he saved it. So her dad, Warrior Queen's dad, I guess if we were Indian, she would be a higher caste than I am. Her dad is actually worth some money, but he's cheap. And it wasn't till we had a baby that he started opening up, because he'd do things for the grandbaby, Joshua, that he wouldn't do for Tish or her brother. And so and Tish would always say, like, "Whoa, you weren't like this when we were kids." He's like, "Well, So there was not that long ago, they were over here visiting from Illinois, and we started talking about good old days. And I said, it's just my income. I work. The Warrior Queen is a stay-at-home mom, and so we do okay. But some of our friends who say that's not important. I want the wife to work just to have more stuff. I take it that way. It's different. We're just different. We're just different than our typical Americans." And me and him were talking, and he said, "You've been working, the only one working in your household. You've never come to me for money. Other people come to me for money all the time, for loans and whatnot, but you never have. I mean, I know stuff goes wrong. You got to replace an AC, whatever the big bill is." I said, "Well, I'm kind of like you a little bit, but not as cheap." And he got, "I'm not cheap." Dude, he went into the, "I'm not, who you calling cheap? I'm not." I said, "Pops, you are cheap, dude. I heard stories about how you would buy ice cream for yourself and nobody could eat it, only you." And I was just like shaming him with all these stories. He's like, no, that's not true." Dude. So when you see Russell Peters talk about how white people, if you call them cheap, they get offended. They get offended. We want to be known as generous people. Even if we don't have anything, we want to be generous, is kind of, I think, the view. Is my guess. So that was pretty good. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Much love. What's up? Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I would ask you to please subscribe. Please like and share. And please go check out Dark Sky Radio, the greatest internet radio station in the world.